Thanks for the opportunity, and I'm excited here to present for the first time for the company, Genius. So I'll try to explain about what we do, what our mission is, especially focusing on cervical cancer and what we do with our device. So I'm Rajiv. I have a background in biochemistry, a PhD in biochemistry, and I was more interested in working with entrepreneurship and particularly concerning women's health. So recently started my role as a CTO with Genius. So what is cervical cancer? Cervical cancer is one of the world's deadliest diseases and affects it's the fourth most frequent cancer in women. And cervical cancer, as most of you know, is caused by human papillomavirus, which is sexually transmitted. Thanks. Which is sexually transmitted. About 570,000 cases were diagnosed in 2018 alone, and which represents about 7% of women cancer. Most of the cancer deaths concerning cervical cancer occurs in middle and low-income countries. So why is this? How do we eliminate cervical cancer? Part of the reason is women's health has been ignored for quite some time. And I think it's time to put the focus back on women's health and give the attention it deserves. So there are certain prevention strategies recommended by the WHO. Some of them, they're basically they're classified into three prevention strategies. One of them is primary prevention, and the other is secondary, and the third is tertiary. So in the primary prevention, it involves vaccinating all young girls between 9 to 14 years of age so they don't get the HPV infection. And the secondary prevention is what is called a screen and treat approach, where you screen women above a certain age and then treat them if they're diagnosed with the screening, which I will talk about a little bit more with what we do at Genius. And the third one is tertiary. The tertiary prevention involves basically when it's late-stage cancer, and then you have to have some sort of invasive cancer treatment, and sometimes palliative care. So what do I mean? How to treat? What do I mean by comprehensive approach of treating cervical cancer? Cervical cancer cannot be treated with a single-step approach. It needs a comprehensive approach. It needs a multi-pronged approach. As you can see here, for example, a girl who's 15 years of age has to be vaccinated for HPV so she doesn't get the infection. And a woman who's about 30 years old needs to be screened, even though she was vaccinated, to diagnose the early stage cancer or the lesions early. And as you age, there are high chances that it'll develop into a late-stage cancer, and in which case you might need invasive treatment therapies. So the treatment or the way to tackle cervical cancer has to be adapted to the age group you're targeting. So the WHO recommends a three-pronged approach when how to tackle it, how to intervene when tackling the challenge of eradicating cervical cancer. So what is called a 90-70-90 approach. In the 90, what the WHO means by 90-70-90 approach is that the goal is by 2030, 90% of the population, global population, has to be vaccinated, 70% has to be screened, another 90% has to be treated. However, for all these among the three steps, the most effective one has been found to screening patients, screening women who are in need of it, or maybe screen every woman if possible. And if we continue at the current rate, cervical cancer is predicted to be eliminated by 2120, and that's about 100 years from now. So how do we approach this problem? How do we tackle it? How do we get to the root of the cause of cervical cancer and get it eliminated from society? So our solution is Gynocular. Gynocular is a simple device which is battery-driven, easy to use, very portable, and requires almost no training. It's as simple as using a mobile device. So the current challenges are that although there exist traditional colposcopes, in most gynecologists have them, but the problem is with those traditional colposcopes are that they're quite heavy, they're bulky, they cannot be transported, and they're quite expensive. So we invented this Gynocular to provide an alternative or a better resource for the gynecologist or any healthcare professional to easily screen a patient, no matter where you are in the world. And it costs 1/3 of a price of a traditional colposcope. So it's easily accessible, and it can be used by low resource settings in parts of the world where you don't have the resources to buy an expensive traditional colposcope. So these are the images of a colposcope. So it's, as you can see, it's small, it's quite handy. It's as carrying a mobile phone in your pocket. And it can be connected to any phone, a normal phone, which you have, and take very good quality images. We provide up to, it supports up to 40 megapixels. And the images are taken by an optical lens, so we don't do any digital altering of the images, because if you alter digitally, you don't get more information. You can only get the information what is available in the picture already. So we provide very high resolution images by having the lenses inside, the optical lenses inside. Here you can see some of the high resolution images taken from the cervix with different illumination, one with the green light and one with the white light. And you can already here, you can see how the image, the high resolution images can be captured with the Gynocular. To assist healthcare professionals and doctors, we also have our in-house software platform, which we developed, which enables us basically to capture the information, store the images, and use them for further analysis, or if you want to send it later on to an expert about the diagnosis, you can certainly do so under secure conditions. And what we want to further do or develop, or we're partly developing it with our collaborator in South Korea, is to have an algorithm which can train the images, which can learn from the images of the cervix, and assist the doctor in making the predictions so that he doesn't have to, for example, do a biopsy, because the most common method now to confirm diagnosis of cervical cancer is to do a biopsy. But in most parts of the world, if you want to get to a biopsy or a surgical theater, it's several kilometers away. So in order to give more power to the local physician or the local doctor, it's good to have an AI support or a technology support so that it aids in the doctor's decisions. So the decision-making becomes much more clearer, and the doctor feels much more confident in arriving at a decision. So this is almost developed, and we plan to launch it pretty soon. And we'll be basically testing it on the ground to see how it works. And I'm proud we have quite an international team representing 9 different countries. The contribution has been immense to this project and to this team. So I'm very thankful to all my team members. And Huashing, who's the CEO, was not able to come here today. He was supposed to be here today. He's under isolation after his return trip back from Italy. So he says hi to all of you. So he's fine, he's tested negative, so it's good. So, but he's still under isolation. I would like to thank our funders and partners, and especially Sahlgrenska Science Park. We've been there for quite some time now, so it's been a lot of support from Sahlgrenska as well, who are not mentioned here. We got a lot of support from the Clinton Foundation as well. So I'd like to thank all of them. Without them, this mission would have not been possible at all. And I thank you. And if any information, you can mail us or call us to the email IDs here. Thank you. Thank you.